Week 7 of the SEC will remind you why October football in this league just hits different. And if you're not looking up, it's going to smack you in the face. Let's talk about it right here on the SEC Recap. It is great to be in the SEC, especially if you won yesterday. If you've lost, you're probably sitting here on this Sunday morning deep in the feels. Welcome back, everybody, to the SEC Recap podcast. I said in the intro, man, October in this league just hits different. It just hits different. On my preview episode for this week, I called it the cluster breaking weekend. I said some teams' playoff hopes probably going to be broken. I think we're starting to see that. We had some upsets threatened, some defenses cracked, and our model hit on quite a few. Some chaos alerts almost cashing in as well. We're going to go through this episode countdown style as we always do, 16-1 through our power rankings, just breaking down what happened in each of these games, what our pre-cap model saw coming, what it means moving forward. It's a chilly Sunday morning here in North Alabama. I've got my coffee on. Grab your preferred beverage, and however you're joining us, hopefully you're here on YouTube for the live stream, but if you're catching us later, please head on over to YouTube, smash the thumbs up, like, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. Bringing you a couple episodes a week. We always recap every Sunday, and then we do our preview prediction episodes on Wednesday morning. Grab your coffee. Join us here for the charts. Let's roll. Now, just ran the numbers on Sunday morning. We're going to start, at the top of the order. And no movement here. Number 16, Kentucky. The Wildcats obviously on a bye week following that loss in Athens to Georgia. So I think Kentucky gets Texas at home in week 8, expected to, I think, be pretty big underdogs at home in that game. Kentucky offense just struggling. And Texas, we'll talk about Texas. Maybe a little momentum here as we get midway through the season. So not a lot to touch on with Kentucky. They are in the open date. I think probably just trying to get some offensive things, straightened out. From a model perspective, Kentucky has been in the back third pretty much all season of the model. Now that we're at the midway point, you'll see these rankings start to stabilize. The back 4 or 5 are going to be pretty consistent. The top 4 or 5 are going to start to be really consistent. You'll see a little bit of shuffling in the middle, but you'll see these scores on the cards as well that are just some normalized scores from my models. And so if you're just ranking teams in terms of like how ESPN does it, with the FPI, it's a little bit different here because these are not resume rankings. They don't just look at what has happened on the field, how many wins, losses you have. It is a current snapshot up to date. If team 16 played team 15 or team 10 played team 5, who would be favored on a neutral site. So Kentucky kind of holds down the caboose of this train at number 16, just definitively bottom of the league here. Let's move on. Something to talk about now. Should say number 15 here. I missed one right before I started the episode, but South Carolina, the Gamecocks are number 15. Okay, number 15. Score of 21.05. Now, if you just read the box score for this game, 20-10 loss at LSU, you'd think South Carolina kind of got pushed around, but it doesn't really tell the full story here. Lenore Sellers fought like hell. Gamecocks ran for 193, still came home empty though because of red zone stalls, penalties. Our pre-cap model had LSU favored by 3.5 or almost 4 points, 72% win probability, largely because of edges in EPA per rush and early down success. That projection basically nailed this game script. Okay. So if you don't watch the preview and predictions episode, you need to check those out because we are hitting at a high rate with the pre-cap model. LSU's tight end mismatches, front seven gap control, that's where the difference was. Can't get out of this one without talking about the fake punt debacle. Wouldn't be a Gamecocks ball game without some weird special teams nonsense. That kind of flipped momentum in the game. Shane Beamer even said afterward he's never seen that call before. A snap that was judged too early because officials hadn't set the ball. You could see the frustration from Shane Beamer. You could see it on his face. You could see it on the sideline. I think the good news for South Carolina, the fight's still there. You saw it in this game. They were not laying over in this game. They had a lot of fight in them, but the bad news is you're 1-3 in SEC play, and I think you're staring down Oklahoma. Now you get Oklahoma at home. It's going to be a noon kick. You know, how much energy is there for that game? I don't know. Here's my takeaway. The physical progress, same result. Efficiency metrics are improving, just offensive success rate plus 4%, week over week. But those drives just not converting into points for the Gamecocks. Now, actually, at number 14, the Arkansas Razorbacks, they are now 2-4. They fall to 0-2 in the SEC. Good bit to talk about here. We'll cover half with them and then half with Tennessee. Probably the most entertaining loss of the weekend, I think, for like the afternoon game. We some great night games: Georgia-Auburn, LSU, South Carolina, Florida, Texas A&M. Hogs and Vols holding it down for us in the afternoon slate. Under Bobby Petrino, interim coach, they go into Knoxville and almost break the Vol season, just like they did last year when the Vols went to Fayetteville. Coming off of a bye week, it was like the same story. Here we go. Tennessee just doesn't know what to do when they face Arkansas. 34-31, the final score there. For the first time in the month, the Razorbacks look alive, right? Now, our PRecap predictor gave Tennessee a 74.6% chance to win and almost a 10-point projected win margin. That's going to underestimate, or it ended up underestimating just how fired up this Arkansas team was to play under the interim head coach and coming off of a bye. Now, I do want to point out that cover for the 10-point that we had in the model came late. That was in the fourth quarter. Arkansas puts up 14 in the fourth to kind of close that gap. This was a 34-17 ball game in the fourth quarter. Arkansas scores 2 touchdowns, one of them late there, to bring them within 3. So our model was really, really close. Obviously, close doesn't count for anything, but we still nailed the win here for the Vols at home. Taylor Green was awesome. I mean, he was as good as you could have expected him to be. Threw for 256, ran for 63. Mike Washington, my God, just gashed Tennessee's front. This is not the same Tennessee run defense that we saw last year. He ran for 131 in a score. I think 19 carries for 131 in the score. But they went -3 in turnovers. Still nearly pulled it off, man. That's the crazy thing, is Tennessee was scoring as much as Arkansas was, but Tennessee's defense forces like 3 fumbles for Arkansas, and Arkansas still almost wins this game. You could see Petrino on the sideline calling it aggressively, going for it on 4th and 3 in field goal range. I think that miss was the one that cost him, though. But, he was telling his team, hey, we're not scared. And in that position, you kind of got to throw everything but the kitchen sink. Well, everything and the kitchen sink, I guess. Our model had Tennessee as the better defensive EPA by a huge margin, and it showed. Most of that was the havoc, right? It was not the run defense. It was not the pass defense. It was the havoc, the pressure rate, and that showed up. 5 sacks, including 2 and key third downs. But Arkansas's fight deserves real credit here. The Razorbacks are still obviously a mess defensively, bottom 2 in the SEC in rush EPA allowed. But for that night, I mean, that offense can still give anybody fits, and I don't know how many games they're going to win. They get Texas A&M at home. Texas A&M, obviously, I think might be one of, if not the best team in the SEC. We'll see how it happens rest of the season for the Razorbacks. Let's go to number 13, Mississippi State. The Bulldogs were idle this week, but the stats are going to tell the same story they've told for 3 straight games. Very good run defense. Offensively, just a little bit anemic. Second in the SEC defensive success rate allowed on third down or early downs, but 14th in offensive EPA per drop back. So the Bulldogs have Florida next. They go to the Swamp. I think that's going to be tough. The way we saw Florida play against Texas at home, the way we saw them play against Texas A&M tonight or last night on the road, that's going to be a tall order for a Bulldogs team. Well, we'll cover the precap and the predictions as we get into the Wednesday game, but expect Mississippi State to probably go run heavy. I don't think I trust Blake Shapen to do it on this Gators defense with his arm. But yeah, State's going to stay static. They don't move a whole lot this week in the model. So we'll move on to the Florida Gators. At number 12, a precap model score of 43.37. They shocked Texas last week. They kind of fall right back into the mud at College Station. Not totally on them. Texas A&M, just a really good team. They took control early. They leaned on defense late. Gators are going to walk out of here with a loss, 34-17. But they absolutely crushed it in some areas. Our predictor model, our precap model had A&M plus 5.4 projected win margin, 83.7% home win probability. That's one of the week's strongest model confidences, and it played out exactly like that. Aggie's early downs EPA edge showed up immediately. It was a big delta between them and the Florida offense. They scored touchdowns on its first 3 possessions while Florida went punt, punt, pick. DJ Lagway, 2 touchdown passes and 245 yards, but you can kind of sense the frustration there, saying, I'm tired of losing. Vernell Brown, again, 6 catches, 77 yards, but the real issue is structural. The Gators just can't sustain drives and some mind-bending clock management still from the coaching staff on the sideline. They're now 1 for their last 20 on third down against ranked opponents. Think about that. 1 for their last 20 on third down against ranked opponents. Napier went for it on 4th and 6 near midfield late. They cite the analytics on that one, but maybe the model agrees with that call, but the play fails, the game slips away from you. I think it's hard to stay patient when your record says 2-4 and you face 4 straight top 10 opponents, but it doesn't really get much easier. I mean, I think Mississippi State at home is winnable, but you can't sleepwalk through that game. You got Georgia and Ole Miss coming up. Now, the Gators got Ole Miss at home last week late in the season. They got to go to Oxford this time. I think Ole Miss will be up and ready for that game. So still pretty tough. And then they got Tennessee coming in late in the season as well. All right. Number 11. Let's talk about Mizzou a little bit. 5-1, 1-1 in the SEC. It was a fight in Columbia. They had Alabama on the ropes for most of that game. They finally fall 27-24 in the final minutes, and even had a chance late. Alabama could have iced the game there with about a minute and a half left. The Tide spot the Tigers the ball back. Mizzou just can't do anything with it. Now, our precap model saw this. Had Alabama winning by 4. It always predicts for the home team, so Mizzou -4 at home. The model's probably most significant Vegas versus analytics disagreement of this week, but it wasn't far off. The Tigers led early. They matched Bama in yards per play. They even won field position by plus 2.1 per drive, but turnovers doomed them. And Alabama did what they needed to do. They needed to stop what Mizzou does best, and that was stop Ahmad Hardy from running over 100 yards. They held him for under 100. Real quick here, though. I kind of hinted at this in my precap episode, and that is sort of Mizzou's strength of schedule. Now, these power rankings are not resume rankings. My model doesn't care who you played or necessarily what the score was. It looks at some different stuff here. But if Mizzou and Alabama were to play again on a neutral field, Alabama would be a heavy favorite, right? Much more than like the 3.5-point favorite they were in Como. The thing of it is, Mizzou is a very good football team. They've kind of been dinged for their weak schedule, one of the easier schedules in the SEC. And I think you saw that show up here. To date, if you look at what Mizzou's toughest game has been to date, or what their best game was, I mean, what would you say? Would you say it was maybe Kansas at home. Right, they opened with Central Arkansas. They had Kansas at home, 42-31. Louisiana at home, 52-10. They had South Carolina at home, 29-20. Maybe you argue South Carolina was their toughest game. UMass, 42-6. Alabama is the first ranked team that they've played all year. And I think those numbers against the schedule were overinflating what Mizzou is capable of when you adjust for strength of opponent. I still think Mizzou's defense is good. I still think their offense is really, really good. They're in that top quadrant. Let me switch on over here. They're in that top quadrant in the SEC. If you look here, this is where you want to be. But when you look at opponent adjusted through week 7, you see that Alabama and Mizzou are right here neck and neck with Tennessee, A&M, Georgia, obviously very good as well. They just hadn't faced an opponent of this caliber yet. So a lot of those rushing stats and offensive numbers were very inflated. And I'm not saying it hurt them or it came back to bite them, but they faced a real opponent. They had a real test, and they got beat by who I think is the best team in the SEC right now, by the way, or one of the best teams in the SEC. So Bo Prabula, 3 total touchdowns, threw 2 picks, including that game sealer. Ahmad Hardy, who's been the SEC's leading rusher, was bottled up for just 52 yards. And that's where Alabama's defensive EPA delta, which is a positive 0.06 advantage, came through, which is one of the things that our model looks at. Mizzou's defense played really, really well. 7 tackles for loss, constant pressure. Faroe Field brought the energy. But early personal foul on Young after a stop on 3rd and 19 was huge. That extended Alabama's scoring drive, that changed field position, flipped momentum, probably for good. 15 home game win streak is over, but the program, they're still a legit top 20, top 15 team. The model is not going to drop them very far, but against other competition in the SEC, you're going to see my rankings model hold Mizzou more near the middle rather than the top. And you'll see why as we kind of go through. The good news is we'll get to see some of these matchups play out still, including this next one. Number 10, Auburn Tigers. Mizzou will go to Auburn in week 8. So we'll get to see this play out in real time. 52.99 versus Auburn's 56.87 in the model ranking. So we'll get to see the numbers flush this one out for us. Ooh, okay. Take a deep breath. Auburn, man. Heartbreaker. Yeah, but also kind of what we just come to expect from Auburn, right? They were completely in control of this game for the first half. Up 10-0. Driving to go up 3 scores. And then absolute disaster. Jackson Arnold ruled a fumble on the goal line. Now, if you have eyeballs like I do and you were watching the game, that was a touchdown. Jackson Arnold scored a touchdown. That is ruled a touchdown 9 out of 10 times. For whatever reason, the refs decided that it was a fumble. The tip of the ball touches the goal line. It was not coming out. I'm sorry. It wasn't. Georgia grabs it, returns it for a touchdown, and then the refs just give Georgia the ball back on the 1-yard line. It was ruled TJ Allen punched it loose, Georgia recovered, and then the game flipped. That was horrible. It was not the reason Auburn lost the game. You get that touchdown, you've got 17 points, 17-0. Georgia finishes this game with 20. If you're Auburn, you still got to score 4 more points to beat what the Bulldogs did, and you didn't. Our PRecap predictor had Georgia at 77.5% win probability with a plus 5.3% or 5.3 point projected margin. That really doesn't show how razor thin this was. Auburn's first half is exactly what Hugh Freeze wanted. Long drives, clock control, physicality. But after that goal line fumble, Tigers gain only 50 yards in the entire second half. 50. That's not going to win, man. It's just not. Regardless of the fumble, regardless of how garbage the officiating was, I agree. I am empathetic. But you still got to score points. You still got to score points. Arnold finished with 162 and a rushing score, but, you know, credited with the turnover. Freeze and the staff were furious at the officiating. Understandable. Replay showed that ball broke the plane. And of course, they spend, 2 hours reviewing it. The defense did everything it could. Auburn held Georgia to under 100 yards in the first half and forced 7 straight third down stops. But once the energy flipped, the offense just simply had no counterpunch. Auburn is out 3-3 on the season. They're 0-3 in SEC play, despite playing 3 ranked teams within 10 points. The eye test says they've got it and they're improving, but the record says otherwise. And let me flip on over to this, and I'll show you. I talk about efficiencies all the time, y'all. If you watch me or follow me on Twitter at SEC Recap, if you look at where Auburn is with the likes of Florida, South Carolina, LSU, Texas, these are your 2 and 3 loss teams in the SEC. Okay, if you're in this quadrant, these are your 2 and 3 loss teams in the SEC. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. It catches up with you eventually. We know who those teams are by week 4 and 5, week 6 and 7. It catches up to you. It's predictive there when you just look at efficiencies. All right, let's move on to sorry. There we go. Now, actually, this is number 9. Sorry, I had the number wrong here again. Morning brain. Number 9, LSU Tigers. Now they are 5-1, 2-1 SEC. I still think the efficiency, the lack of offensive efficiency is going to catch up to LSU. Don't let that 20-10 score fool you. LSU was dominant where they needed to be. They forced an early turnover inside the red zone, but offensively couldn't convert. They end up settling for a field goal. They still somehow find a way to control the flow of this game. Our PRecap predictor had LSU plus 3.9 win margin, and they outperformed that by nearly a touchdown. Garrett Nussmeier went for 254, 2 scores. Green, the tight end, was a mismatch, 8 for 119 and 1 touchdown. That's the kind of weapon they need in this offense. Defensively, they hold Lenore Sellers to 124 passing and just 19 net rushing after sacks. South Carolina able to move it between the 20s, but LSU's defense just holding up in the red zone. They allow only 1 touchdown on 6 possessions past midfield. This was not a flashy win, but if you're trying to compete for the SEC and make the playoff, this is what those caliber of programs do. They win ugly, they control tempo, and you don't let your opponent separate late. Now, the Tigers go to Nashville to face Vanderbilt, which is going to be a very sneaky game. And I'm not sure a lot of people are ready for what my precap model is going to be showing on Wednesday for this game. Guys, let's pause here at the halfway mark. Before we get to the top 8, just a quick reminder, if you are enjoying this breakdown, you want to see how our model stacks up each week and check out that win rate, hit like and subscribe. We drop our precap predictor graphics every Wednesday morning. We do our predictions episode, and I also drop those on Twitter at SEC Recap. I'll throw that up here on screen. And I don't do any ad reads. I do this all for free in my spare time, just for fun, because I love college football, especially in the SEC. All I do is sling a few t-shirts, which you can find at my Bonfire store, bonfire.com/store/SEC Recap. Let me throw that up here. QR code, the link will be in the show description. My Saturday's merch lineup for every team. Got several people incredibly happy with it. I've got some for myself. Some friends have been buying it. They've been sending me photos wearing it on game day. Fits great. T-shirt, long sleeve, hoodie. It's fall. Look, I've got my long sleeves on today, which means it's bonfire season. So head on over to bonfire.com/store/SEC Recap. Check out all the great merch we've got for you there. All right, let's roll into the top 8 of the power rankings. The true number 8 team, I just missed my ranking there when I was making my cards. The Ole Miss Rebels. Now, they are undefeated. Why in the world are they at number 8? Well, if you watched what happened yesterday, the model's going to ding you for that. It's not based on who you played. It's based on how you performed and the strength of opponent. So let's call it what it was. This was a near miss that could have derailed a perfect season. My prediction episode, I called it cluster breaking weekend. Ole Miss Ole Miss was almost busted. They were almost broken. They escape Washington State at home 24-21. And if you just look at that stat sheet, you would swear that the Rebels lost this game. Our pre-cap model projected Ole Miss as a heavy favorite, 12.3 average win margin across simulations. But the Rebels looked like they were looking ahead to Georgia and sleepwalking through 3/4 of this game. Washington State led 14-10 late in the third before Trinidad Chambliss finally decided to play D1 football. He accounted for 3 total touchdowns, including the 17-yard scramble that gave Ole Miss its first lead, then dropped a dime to Caden Lee for the dagger. Quan Lacey rumbled for 144 on 24 carries, who I think he was the one steady element in this otherwise pretty erratic day. Here's where it gets concerning. Ole Miss's offensive explosiveness differential, which has been top 10 nationally, actually finished negative on the day, I think, in a per play versus FBS average. They still produce 439 yards of offense, but they were stalled inside the 40. Kiffin said it best afterward in the presser. We looked like the number 84 team, not the number 4 team. And I don't think he's exaggerating. They were sleepwalking through the first half, trailed for 20 minutes, and needed some late game heroics just to avoid a meltdown. The silver lining, they got a wake-up call before they go to Athens. Georgia's defense is built to suffocate offensively inconsistent teams. So Ole Miss better find the rhythm early next week, or it is going to get ugly fast. Number 7, if there's such a thing as a program reset win, this was it. The Texas Longhorns beat Oklahoma in the Red River rivalry 23-6 in Dallas. The stat says it all. The Sooners had just 258 total yards. The Longhorns are now 4-2 overall, 1-1 in the SEC. Arch Manning did what he needed to do, composed, efficient, mistake-free, 21 of 27, 166 yards, 1 touchdown. The game breaker came from special teams, that Niblet 75-yard punt return that put it away in the fourth quarter. Texas's defense deserves all of the oxygen here. Malik Muhammad picks off 2. That unit forced Oklahoma into 8 drives of 25 yards or less. After 3 weeks of hearing how soft the Texas front was, they played determined. They played angry. Gap integrity was clean. They limited Oklahoma to just 2 of 11 on third down. The offense didn't light it up, but they didn't have to. Okay. Quintrevion Wisner's 94 rushing yards, 5 catches gave them balance. That early downs EPA differential mirrored that very methodical control that we've seen from them in the past. Bottom line, Texas stays alive. I don't know what it means for the playoff race, but if you win out and you win well, you're probably in contention. They're not flashy, but they're kind of growing back into the team that they were supposed to be. Let's cause some controversy. Number 6, the Oklahoma Sooners. Now, wait a minute. Didn't Oklahoma just lose to Texas? Yes, they did. Again, this is not a resume ranking. The model doesn't care who was ranked what or who the team was. It looks at efficiencies and a lot of other things. But on the Oklahoma side of the ball, the model still likes them at number 6. I think Oklahoma has some problems that are suddenly glaring. Through 5 or 6 weeks, they were even as high as like number 2 in my rankings. John Mateer coming back from that thumb surgery, you think, okay, clearly they think John Mateer off of thumb surgery is better than Michael Hawkins Jr. at full health in this game. But he looked tentative. He missed reads, threw 3 interceptions. Our pre-cap model had Oklahoma as the slight underdog. Our model had the edge to Texas. I actually really thought Oklahoma would prevail in this game, but I just didn't anticipate this level of regression. The EPA per dropback differential for the Sooners is some of their worst single game passing performance. Even going back through like last season, Mateer just didn't look ready. Timing was off. Confidence was low. Decision-making was late. It was brutal. And I think that's on Brent Venables for rushing him back. When your backup is fully healthy and your starter has a practice in 2 weeks, against a Texas defense that is this talented, you're just begging for disaster. The defense finally cracked. This is a group that ranked top 5 nationally in points per drive allowed, got bullied by Texas's offensive line that had basically been called soft through like 2 or 3 weeks. They lost the trench battles on both sides. That's just one thing you can't do in a rivalry game like this. Now, Oklahoma's still in the hunt, just one loss, but this loss kind of exposes where the floor is for Oklahoma. They've scored 24 or fewer points in 4 straight Power 4 games, and now they go to a South Carolina team in week 8 that is running the ball 60% of the time, which is what Oklahoma's defense struggles to contend with. So Sooners need to bounce back fast or that playoff path gets really, really narrow. Moving on, number 5, Vanderbilt Commodores, 4-2, 2-1 in the SEC. Now, they had an open date, but this feels like, again, one of the quietest, dangerous teams in the SEC. Coming off a loss at Alabama, where they fought, they were competitive. They're sitting at 4th in overall defensive efficiency, 5th at third down stops, top half of the conference in success rate differential. And they get LSU coming to town in week 8. Going to be a really good measuring stick. I don't want to give away the model prediction yet. I want to save that for Wednesday. I want to tease that out. But I don't think this is going to be a headline grabber that a lot of people are looking at. And I think there's maybe a lot of folks in the LSU camp who aren't ready to talk about what could happen in this game. This is a don't laugh matchup for LSU going into week 8. That's all I'll say. I'll save the rest. We'll tease it out. All right, jumping a couple spots again this week. And now I'm going to be totally honest. Number 4, Tennessee Volunteers. They're 5-1 overall, 2-1 in the SEC. The lone loss coming at home to Georgia in overtime. All of Tennessee's SEC wins have been too close for comfort, and this one was no exception. 34-31, the final score there at home against Arkansas. This was everything but comfortable, and I really don't know how I feel with Tennessee at number 4 in the SEC. I don't know, even despite what we saw from Oklahoma yesterday, that I would have them ahead of Oklahoma. Don't know that I'd have them ahead of Ole Miss for sure, or Texas. But hey, this is why this is not based on how I feel. It's not based on my opinion. It's based on the underlying data. So our PRecap predictor gave Tennessee a 74.6% win chance and a plus 9.8 point projected margin. It had the key edge on defensive EPA, especially in terms of havoc disruption, because Tennessee gets to the quarterback. They have high tackles for loss, a lot of sacks. They have like 25 sacks through on the season. And that kind of proved critical in this game. I think that's what swung this game. Joey Aguilar threw for 221 and a touchdown. Deshaun Bishop ran for a career-high 146 before some kind of leg injury sidelined him late in that game. But Bishop goes out. Peyton Lewis comes in, comes through 2 touchdowns, including the game winner. At one point, Tennessee leads this game 34-17, and you think, okay, ice it. Cruz, and then Taylon Green just starts slinging it, dropping dimes, breaking out of containment, cracking open third downs. I mean, if there's a problem for Tennessee as they head into the 3rd Saturday in October to Tuscaloosa, this defense is leaking oil. And they're a good disruptive defense. They're going to hunt. They're going to get to the quarterback. They're going to get sacks. They're going to pressure. But they can't stop a 3rd and long if the game depends on it. I don't know how many. It felt like 8 or 9, 3rd and 6, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 11. Taylon Green has open grass in the middle of the field, just breaks it and converts the 3rd down with his legs. I mean, there were times that the Tennessee linebackers and DBs are playing 10 yards off of the line of scrimmage on 3rd and long. You're just giving them the field. It's really mind-blowing if you're a Tennessee fan, because That's your biggest liability. But at the same time, Tennessee doesn't win this game if the defense doesn't force 3 fumbles and recoveries. So it's truly feast or famine for the Tennessee defense, and your offense is what's gonna have to carry you through. Arkansas scores twice late in the final 6 minutes to cut it to 3 is where they cover, and Tennessee had to grind it out in the last 2 minutes behind that offensive line. That offense still moves really well. They're very efficient. The defense is the problem. They have enough firepower offensively to hang with anyone. Um, you do wonder about the depth at running back without Bishop. We'll see what happens with him. They're not getting Jermod McCoy back. Ricky Gibson's not coming back. They pretty much have who they have on defense for the rest of the season now. They're like one step away from chaos. Like, Georgia, overtime, you lose. Mississippi State, overtime, you manage to win that one. Arkansas, 3-point game late in the fourth, you manage to come away with it. Still, in the SEC, a win is a win. He's coaching up a roster that I think, especially defensively, is held together by duct tape. And Joey Aguilar keeps earning that money. His deep ball accuracy rate has been insane. So, man, that's the true ups and downs of being a Tennessee fan, I guess. The highs are so high, the lows could be so low, and they're teetering right on the brink of not knowing which the hell way it's going to go. Let's move on. Number 3, Georgia. We're about to close it out here. 5-1, 3-1 in the SEC. A lot of teams talk about championship DNA, and Georgia shows it here. We've talked about the officiating. Okay, we're not touching on that again. You went on the road in a rock fight. They were dead in the water for the first half of that game. No offense, no momentum. Our PRecap model had Georgia favored by 5.3 with a 77.5 win probability, and they hit that and cover. From that fumble on the goal line onward, Georgia outgained Auburn 253 yards to 50 and won 20-10. I get the officiating. Frick, I get it, man. It's going to happen to every team at some point this season. It's terrible. It's atrocious. But that wasn't why Auburn lost and Georgia won. 253 yards to 50 after the fumble. That's the difference in the game. Gunnar Stockton wasn't flashy. 217 passing, 1 rushing score. He played smart. Chauncey Bowens powered in 1. The defense just slammed the door shut on Auburn, man. 2.8 yards per play in the second half. That's just not going to do it. It was a tale of two halves. First half was sloppy. Second half was dominant. Dogs have now beaten Auburn 9 straight times heading back to Athens. They head back to Athens to host Ole Miss next week. That's going to be a top 10 matchup. One of the bigger ones of the week, one of the biggest ones of the season. Let's talk about number 2 now, the Aggies. 6-0, undefeated, 3-0 SEC. Now, if they're not number 2, they would be number 1. They just keep stacking wins, man. 34-17 over Florida. The numbers say they're legit. Everything, the eye test says they're legit. Our PRecap model had Texas A&M plus 5.4 projected margin and an 83.7 win probability. That was one of the strongest calls of the week. The biggest advantages were the passing game, EPA per drop back, early down success rate. All 3 showed up. A&M scored 3 touchdowns, first 3 possessions, outgained Florida 417 to 313, and just completely owned the third down battle. Florida was 1 of 10. Marcel Reed manages the game beautifully. 234 passing yards, a touchdown, 1 pick, and a rushing score. Over the last 3 SEC games, A&M opponents are 3 for 33 on third down. 3 for 33 on third down. That's absurd. Their pressure rate differential doesn't even tell the full story. Their interior push is collapsing pockets faster than just about any other team not named Alabama. Elko's postgame message was perfect. He said, "If it means nothing if we don't finish." So start to finish, they close it out strong. The path is here now. 6-0, top 5 efficiency on both sides. Trip to Fayetteville next week. That could clinch bowl eligibility. Oh, no, sorry. They already are bowl eligible. I think they're cruising now. I don't know who the toughest team left on A&M's schedule is. They go to LSU, and they go to Missouri. Those are the only 2 ranked opponents left on their schedule. They get South Carolina at home, Samford at home, and then they go to Texas end of year. I think they're going to be favored in every single one of those games. So the path to the SEC and obviously the college football playoff is right there for A&M, not for the taking. It's theirs to lose. Closing it out here, guys. Number 1, they go on the road. The Alabama Crimson Tide, 5-1 overall, 3-0 in the SEC. At the top, still the Crimson Tide. They outlast Mizzou 27-24 in Columbia. It is probably the most balanced performance of the DeBoer era to date. Our PRecap predictor gave Bama a 60% win probability and projected them winning by roughly 3.8. Right in the range of the Vegas line. Ty Simpson delivered again, 200 yards, 3 tutties, including the 4th down laser to seal it. Jam Miller rushed for 85 before leaving with a concussion. His status up in the air as they look to host Tennessee. Alabama's identity is clear. It's surgical passing, relentless defense, and situational dominance. Mizzou actually leads early in this game. Bo Prabula kind of giving them every edge that he could, but every time Mizzou kind of threatened, Alabama's defense just showed up with pressure, disguised looks, forced turnovers. And I think DeBoer's in-game management deserves a lot of praise too. Those 4th down conversions in both halves, gutsy calls, converting both of those drives into touchdowns. That's the kind of aggression Alabama fans have been begging for since the Saban years ended. And they control possession. Nearly 39 minutes, went +1 in the turnover margin, won the line of scrimmage when it mattered most. Ty Simpson now sits top 3 in the nation in QBR, and he's thrown 13 touchdowns to 1 pick. What more can you ask for? That was a playoff level win on the road against a top 15 team. And now here comes a main event. Another top 15 matchup as Tennessee comes to Tuscaloosa. I'm not going to give you the look ahead yet. I'm going to tease that one out. But for now, it seems that the SEC is going to run through Tuscaloosa once again. And guys, that's going to do it for our Power Rankings episode. There you have it, 16-1. The week 8 lineup there. Who do you think's too high? Who do you think's too low? What do you agree? What do you disagree with? Please smash the thumbs up, like, subscribe to the channel, and leave me a comment. Defense got some obvious problems. Georgia's defense found its gear, and Ole Miss going to Athens with everything to prove. If you're enjoying the analytics plus context, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel. Ring that bell so you don't miss a preview. We will break down all the projections, playoff implications, and the biggest matchups of the season. For now, take a breath. Week 7 was chaos. You get a little breather before week 8. This is the SEC recap. We will see you on Wednesday for the preview episode. Have a great week. Peace.